Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, a greedy homeowner association stole money from my community for over 10 years and neglected us. We sued them and changed the entire HOA. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. Last year, our HOA had its yearly meeting. For context, it's a small condo community with relatively few complaints and the HOA is generally okay. Anyway, back to the meeting. In attendance was a representative from the management company, the two board members, an old couple, and myself, of course. One of the issues they brought up was that someone had cats that would walk around the shared property outside. The horror! And I knew whose cats they were, but I love these cats and they are the sweetest things. The HOA president starts going on a rant about how we need to find out whose cats they were, so they could send a notice to the owners to tell them to keep them inside or on a leash. I thought that was the dumbest thing I had heard all week, but the property manager said she would get it taken care of. Later during the meeting, they mentioned how one of the board seats was vacant because somebody had moved. The old couple did not want the seat, nobody else had responded to the emails asking for volunteers, and since I was the only other person in attendance that could, I was the only choice. Since then, I have done my best to stop enforcement of any BS rules, and as of the last meeting, I am now the president of the HOA. The best part? The property manager conveniently forgot to follow up on the cat situation. And yeah guys, essentially that sounds to me like a deal with the devil, becoming the devil yourself by becoming the HOA president. Anyway, I guess in this case it worked out. The next one is a multi-update HOA story and it is titled How I Took the HOA to Court and Won. Hey, sorry this is so long, I'm turning to Reddit because I and my neighbors really need some insight. I moved into my community 5 years ago in Arizona and we were actually very pleased with our HOA. About 2 years ago, the HOA board decided to switch management companies and it was the worst decision ever. They hired crappy landscaping companies, we had water leaks in our grassy areas, the community was dirty, etc. So we decided to get involved and started participating to the meetings, offered help and more. But it turns out that one of the HOA board members, we will call her Lisa, is also an employee of the management company and therefore approves expenses that are submitted by them. I guess they need 3 votes out of 5 and she is always one of 3. To me this is a huge conflict of interest and I don't know if it is legal, but this is not even the worst part. Our community started getting worse and worse, it literally looked like a dump. They have not serviced it in over 9 months, all while collecting our money. Given that there are houses in the 600k range here, the homeowners, rightfully so, got together and complained. So, we usually vote by email, but one of the more reasonable HOA board members who is suspecting fraud and wants Lisa off the board suggested that people show up in person to vote so that the votes are counted fairly. Homeowners showed up and voted in person accordingly. 2 new board members got voted in, Lisa and another member got voted out. Everyone was happy and the new people got announced by the management company. This is where it turns sour. As soon as the new board members mentioned wanting to switch management companies, hire new landscaping and so on, the old management company announced that the elections were rigged because homeowners were influenced to vote in person, so the vote was not valid. And that therefore the new people who are elected are not in charge. They keep having meetings with the old members and refuse to acknowledge the new ones. The new board hired a lawyer who contacted the old management company asking to give up the accounts and the funds. They won't. They are ignoring all the letters, all the meetings the new board has and have private meetings with the old people. Yes, Lisa too. The new board started a petition to have them removed and they need 100 signatures. Lisa goes to our mailbox every night to rip the petition sign off. Meanwhile, the management company decided to raise their fee by 5 times. They did not raise our payment, they are just cashing in thousands of dollars for fees. I would really appreciate literally any insight or ideas, whether it is legal or just opinions. This is getting so stressful, it's making me want to sell the house. Thank you if you made it this far. Edit: Lisa is not actually going into our mailboxes, she is ripping the petition sign that is posted on a board next to our mailbox. I should have specified that. Edit number 2, the new board members cannot hire another management company because the old one is holding on to the funds and accounts and therefore still collecting our money. Edit number 3, to those suggesting that we stop paying our monthly fee. I personally did as soon as they were terminated, and so did other homeowners, and well, we received statements saying we were past due on our accounts and that the penalty would be a lien on our house on top of collection fees, late payment charges, etc. Using this edit to also say that the new board did hire a lawyer. This is just me trying to learn about other similar experiences and explore all possible options. And then a user in the comments said in regards to OP, not a legal expert, but in my opinion, it definitely does not sound legal what the HOA is doing. Especially when you hired an attorney to represent your side and the management company is refusing to cooperate. The ripping down of the petition sign-up sounds illegal as hell as well. Here is hoping that you find some answers and get rid of all the corrupt folks involved. And then another user said, I'm wondering if there is not embezzlement they are also covering up. They have to know that they will eventually lose and are crossing a line, aka refusing to honor legal proceedings. The only possible reason I can imagine for this is to buy time to cover the theft. And now guys, we will read the update to the story, and it says, last time I did not mention that there is another member of the old board who was voted out. I will call him Rob, who has been in charge for 10 years. It is my belief that he used our community money for personal use on many different occasions. For example, he said that he purchased some chairs for our parties and meetings that he keeps in a storage unit. No one has ever seen these chairs as we hold our meetings at the community park that has tables and benches already. Funnily enough, he recently suggested that we bring our own chair next time. Each time we asked the management company to provide proof of payment or invoices for more reckless expenditures, $17K in landscaping extras, and they never did. They usually take $1,500 monthly as their fee. In May, they took $9K, and when the new board asked why they charged $9K, they replied by saying that that is the termination fee. Except they then refused to be terminated and didn't give up the accounts or keys etc, but still took the money. I left off saying that the new HOA board members, one especially, I will call her Bridget, started a petition where 100 signatures needed to be collected in order to call a special meeting and get the self-claimed board members forcibly removed. I guess there is an HOA policy where if some HOA board members don't agree with the election results, this meeting is then necessary to have them removed. Despite Lisa going to the mailbox every night, sometimes twice a day, to remove our petition signs, we managed to collect the 100 signatures and will have the meeting next week. Bridget, who hired a lawyer, also filed a complaint with our state superior court. I later found out that this community management company already had 17 civil lawsuits filed against them by other communities, and ours is the 18th. My thoughts: I think Rob and Lisa are in on this and personally benefited from taking our money for 10 plus years. I believe the management company does not want to give up the accounts because it would expose their fraud. Does anyone know how long these lawsuits take? I hope to be back with one final update soon. This all started as a rant, but I think that people should know about all the little ways these HOA people use to scam entire communities of people who maybe are too busy to even question them. And then a user in the comments said, make sure to ask lawyers if they can file an immediate injunction to stop the collection of dues, fines and lien processing while this goes on. Also seeing if they can file to freeze the HOA funds held by management while litigation begins. And don't forget to include lawyer fees, damages and back payment in your judgment. Buckle up as lawsuits drag on, but it can be fun to fight the fight. Another person then said, whenever a board or management company refuses to show financial information, there is a guarantee, which is a law in most US states, that there is fraud and/or embezzlement. In theory, your association has D&O coverage in your insurance policy that covers illegal actions taken by the community directors and officers and should be able to help pay for any attorney costs to fight the old board. And yes, your premium will go up and not all policies are the same, so speak with the insurance agent, but considering how expensive this may get, it is good to know all of your options. I was the first board president of my association when we hired the management company that I also worked for. I knew that it could look like a conflict of interest. I made sure that I was available to be one of the board members to show all of the management companies around our property so I could ask specific questions. When it came to voting for the management company and signing the contract, I did not attend those meetings. I wanted to make sure that there was no way anyone could say that I influenced the decision. I did not even make myself available for questions when they were discussing the various companies, but did give balanced advice on each company's pros and cons, including the one I worked for. And now, ripe stars, we will read the final update to the HOA story, and it is titled, I am here with good news. After collecting 100 signatures, we were supposed to hold one final meeting to have the old board members voted out. And the homeowners showed up. We were able to re-vote the old members out and they were banned from running again for at least 5 years. All the keys and accounts were given to the new board and a new management and landscaping company were hired. There is now an ongoing lawsuit where the old management company is being sued for all kinds of things and being asked to pay for the landscaping damage they caused by withholding the funds and keys to the water. I'm not sure how long this will take, but the fact that we have new people in charge after so many years is a win. The community already looks so much better. My main takeaway is, I used to be one of those "who's got time for that" people. But these HOA people literally count on homeowners to be busy with work and family life to take advantage of them. My old HOA board got away with it for 10+ years. If you think something fishy is going on, get involved. And yeah, ripe stars, that is actually the sad truth with many corrupt HOAs. They simply count on people not caring enough to actually get involved and to be too busy, but then once people get involved, it seems like you can actually succeed if you work together. Either way, let's continue to the next one. This one is titled, Photo Revenge with a Family. We lived in Japan for 2 fantastic years, and one of the things my kids loved to do was to go to the Universal Studios Japan, particularly the Sanrio area. The kids cannot get enough of Hello Kitty, and apparently neither can grown-ass adults. Midday at the park, they dress some poor soul as Hello Kitty to come out and greet the horde of fans. That day, there were probably 100+ people surrounding the mascot. Well, my kids wanted a picture with the huge furry feline, so I sighed, got in the back of the line and patiently waited. We were finally next in line when a middle-aged woman dressed in cat attire cut in front of my 6-year-old and me. We were shocked and did not immediately react. Was this grown-up seriously cutting in front of a line of children? Then, before I had a chance to say anything, she turned around and asked me to take her picture with Hello Kitty. I could hear a chorus of grumbling behind us. At this point, I was ready to throw her iPhone into the fountain, but I thought for a second, smiled and agreed. I took multiple pictures in portrait and landscape modes, each time coaching her for the cutest pose. A few people behind us were gleefully watching over my shoulder as I either put my finger over her face or cut her head off every single photo. Middle-aged cat lady thanked me and left so she could check the photos away from the crowd. We then took our photos with the cat, they turned out great, and as we walked away, we saw the lady angrily scrolling through her photos. The mascot's allotted time was also up about that time, so she did not have a chance to go back and retake her photos. And the next one is titled, I will teach you how to maliciously comply. We all do stupid stuff in our 20s. Well, for me, it was moving into a shoddy apartment with my fellow mental health risk friend. We were both well aware that we may have to break lease at some point, so we found an apartment that was just barely within price range and had the option to break the lease early, and it was okay at first. There was linoleum peeling up in the bathroom, and if we did not wipe down the windowsills and particularly the far corner ceiling of my bedroom, then we would get mold. However, this is Oregon, and as a food stamp family, as I was called in school, I am familiar with mold. No biggie. Then our washer, which we were paying an extra $100 a month to have in our unit, started leaking. We put in a maintenance request and tack on the peeling linoleum as well, since they'd already been in our unit to fix the washer. They patched up the washer and did a half-assed job repairing the patch of linoleum. A month later, the linoleum, since they had not actually fixed the underlying problem of the peeling linoleum, it had come up again, the corner sliced my foot open, and the bathroom sink, washer and dishwasher all had problems of one kind or another. They came in again and said that if we wanted them to fix that patch again, it would cost $450 to replace the whole floor. The patch was like a 2-foot square, so that just never got repaired. 2 months, 3 hospital trips for my ex-roommate, a still broken dishwasher that was unusable, a leaky washer, and a close call later. Roommate has POTS, fell down the stairs. We put in a request for accommodation to be released to our respective parents on the grounds of mental and physical disability. They denied the request, simply offering to move us to a downstairs apartment. They don't want to let us out of this lease, even though my roommate had attempted to end his life twice and almost cracked her head on the stairs. Fine, malicious compliance incoming. I went through the lease agreement to figure out how much it would be to break the lease. And I quote, "Fee to break this lease is $1.50, 1.5 times rent if left blank." So someone either messed up the paperwork or figured that no one would read it. So I put in a 30-day notice of intent to move out. With $1.50 worth of quarters in the envelope, aftermath, they tried to tell us we could not move out because it is 1.5 times the rent, not $1.50. They threatened us with lawyers, called their bluff, suggested they reread the lease agreement they signed, paid my half of the repairs, and have not heard from them in like 3 months. I'm still keeping all the emails and such in case I get a letter from a lawyer, but still have zero intention to pay that 1.5 times the rent. And the next one is titled Malicious Compliance at the Workplace. I recently started working at a company specializing in high-end CNC work. Think aerospace, automotive, and defense contracts that run in 3 shifts 24 hours a day so they can keep the machines running. This is not my malicious compliance, but rather past compliance that I was told about that I am now reaping the benefits of. When I started, I was told that employees were free to take their 30-minute paid lunch whenever they wanted. How nice, I thought, a company that is not micromanaging. After talking with some of the old-timers, I discovered the reason this policy was put back into place. Some background first. A CNC machine is essentially an automated mill. You stick a metal billet or a casting into it, it does some magic, and a machine part is created. Lots of cuts made, holes drilled and taped, all very precisely. This process can take minutes or hours based on how much/how precise machining takes place. Generally, the more expensive the part, the more time spent on the machine. The story is that a new manager was hired several years ago and immediately set about improving production. Apparently, part of their grand plan was having everyone take their lunches at exactly the same time so as to provide accountability. Since everyone was taking lunches at various times, the theory was that people taking 32 minutes instead of 30 was costing productivity and thus could be improved. No one actually had any record of these 32-minute breaks, but they must have been going on, right? Since most of the processes took longer than 30 minutes, people would take their breaks so that they had just placed a part in, went on their lunch and then came back to continue the job, mostly checking that the previously made part was within tolerance, as the CNC machine worked through the time spent on break. The new system meant that people would take their lunches and the machines were left in downtime. The most dreadful thing an owner can imagine. No one there put new parts into the machine, which means machines not running. Which in return means parts not being completed, which means money not being made. People would stop work at precisely lunchtime regardless of if the machine would stand idle without a part to work on. Machinists would arrive precisely 30 minutes later to start up again. Since the longer processes were the most affected, the most expensive parts were the heaviest hit. Production slumped, shipments got delayed, customers were angry, and eventually the new manager was fired. The policy was returned to its original, take it whenever, just please don't let the machine stop form. And yeah guys, as you can hear in the background, Disney is crying, so that means the video has to come to an end. Thank you very much for watching, I hope to see you again tomorrow.